Hi, quick thing. You might notice this is a re-upload of my last video. Simply put, I looked at back and wasn't happy with how it was originally edited, so I got my current editor to redo it. So audio-wise, it's mostly the same with an addition to the mutant section and redone outro. Enjoy!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Ben 10 What If Aliens. This time we're looking at something truly marvelous. Yeah, that pun was terrible, but we're looking at aliens and other non-homo sapiens from the many worlds of Marvel Comics. Specifically some aliens you wouldn't think of, but before we begin, a reminder of some of the specific rules for my classifications. First, no magically or genetically modified from their natural state and no magically created aliens. This means no stuff like Bang Babies from Static Shock, Xenomorph from Aliens, or Projects from Dragon Ball. However, sapient non-human species such as elves or Pokemon would count. Before we begin today, I'll be making a quick addition to the format. I'll be adding a base form to the video where you can see what Ben looks like as the alien. I'm also going to give a hint of what we'll be talking about for this episode. For a while, I've been seeing Spider-Man based transformations showing up on a bunch of fan-made Omnitrix playlists. That basically being a fan term for the lists of transformations. And I must argue a hard no. I asked around to see where the idea came from, and I basically got the answer of the Ink Tank made a video saying the Omnitrix would be able to scan Spider-Man. No disrespect to the Ink Tank, they are from what I gather a decent group, but I've never really interacted with them, but I disagree. Spider-Man is a mutate, or in Ben 10 terms, a mutant. Yeah, it's a little complicated, but the Omnitrix can't scan something like that in its default state due to being one of the many fail-safes Azimuth installed. Yes, if you disable the fail-safe that prevents it from doing so, you could scan Spider-Man. This was confirmed by Dwayne McDuffie. But it's a fail-safe for a reason. It's the same reason you don't void the warranty on things that could potentially be dangerous, because if it goes bad, it goes really bad. So, quickly wrapping up this short rant, I'm using the default version of the Omnitrix and Ultimatrix. However, speaking of mutants, we have our first form. Mutants, also known as Homo superior or Homo sapiens superior, to be more precise, are born from the X gene, which has several origins. Whether it be the next natural leap in human evolution, or an offshoot created millions of years ago by genetic tampering by ancient alien gods, whatever the origin, mutants have a varied power set from physical to mental augmentation, such as cause, rapid healing, telepathy, nature alteration, energy manipulation, and so much more. However, you must be wondering, why are mutants on this list after you went on a whole rant over mutates? Arguably yes, by Ben 10 rules, mutants should be off the table, if there were mutants in the way of Ben 10. Marvel mutants are arguably the next step in the evolution of man in the Marvel universe, or an offshoot race depending on how you look at it.
Oh, pause. Here's a quick addition to this since people have brought both the Amalgam Kids and Kevin as reasons why the Omnitrix shouldn't be able to scan Marvel mutants. Now, as I said a few lines ago, one of the origins of Marvel mutants is genetic tampering. But there is something the people who are arguing that I'm wrong are ignoring. That point being, when did the genetic tampering happen? There are 2 points in time I can use for this. Around the year 1 million BC or ancient Egypt. There is a storyline called the Avengers of 1 million BC where a race called the Celestials are creating what would become the first mutants. The second point of ancient Egypt is with the first mutant of the second age of mutants, Apocalypse, or En-Sabah-Nur. Now, the reason I brought these 2 points is simple. DNA evolves over time, so an artificial mutation, like how mutants would have made, would become natural over this time period, and considering that the bare minimum mutants have been a thing for is at least 100,000 years, my point stands that Ben can turn into a Marvel mutant. Back to the video proper. You may still be thinking, well yeah, but an offshoot of human is still human, and Ben's already human, and is the source of human DNA in the Omnitrix. If human DNA is present, shouldn't he be unable to scan the DNA of an offshoot race? My answer to that is Upchuck. As stated in the Pokemon episode, the Omnitrix can scan major genetic differences, such as the 2 different types of Upchuck in the Omnitrix due to there being enough genetic drift between the 2 types of Upchuck. And since the X gene creates significant enough genetic drift, mutants are far enough away that they should be able to be scanned. But what would mutant Ben's powers be? Well, I kinda went for a basic physical mutation like Wolverine's just for the idea, though I will admit I kinda screwed up by forgetting to tell the artist not to make the class medal, so just ignore that on the art. But his powers would basically be based on whatever mutant he scanned first. So honestly, it's a crapshoot to tell what his powers would be. They could even change from transformation to transformation for all I know. But let's get to the ultimate form. For the basic idea, I went with one of the oldest known mutants. Kinda learning a little later on that his powers are not entirely mutant. Apocalypse is a mixture of mutant genes, alien tech, and celestial seeds like the ones that may have been used to create mutants in the first place. Oops. But anyway, let's roll with this. The ultimate mutant form's basic power set is, well, a lot. He has all the powers you'd normally expect: super strength, durability, psychic powers, flight, side training, regenerations, and what have you.
as well as some you normally wouldn't expect, such as Rogue's absorption powers and Wolverine's claws. So what's his weakness? He's powerful, so he must have a weakness, right? Well, his weakness would be arrogance. Ben does have a habit of giving some personality to his aliens, and simply put, I think he would see the ultimate mutant form as a good contender for one of his stronger forms. So he would probably think a fight was over far sooner than it was. Now, as to how Ben would use these forms, well, as I've stated, since mutant abilities are so diverse, it's hard to reasonably say how Ben would or could use them, considering there are mutants like Beak whose whole thing is just being a bird-faced man. It's unreasonable to give a tangible argument for how Ben could use this form. Depending on who he scanned for the base form, it could also completely change the ultimate form as well. For now, let's use the art I have as a basis. For the base form, I envisioned I could see him being confused at first, as he doesn't look any different until he pops the claws. As for how he would use the form, well, it's rather simple. Attack. And as for the ultimate form, again, it would be to overpower the target and boast about it.
Asgard, the venerated home of gods such as Odin and Thor. And before anyone asks, I have a hard time saying the full name of Mjolnir's wielder, so I'm going with the shorter form of Thor. But I also might be saying correctly due to how it's pronounced in Old Norse. Anyway, the revered land of the Asgardian gods is a realm of magic and power. In Norse myth, the gods are split between the Aesir and Vanir, and it seems to be in Marvel Comics that the Asgardians are a mix of both. So that's how we'll be treating that moving forward. But what could Asgardian Ben do? Considering the Omnitrix and Ultimatrix makes you the physical peak of a species, he will be around the same physical strength as Thor. As in Marvel Comics, he is one of the strongest Asgardians we see, not counting Odin, who, in addition to having the mystical Odin force inside of him, increasing his power, has other reasons why he's stronger, and we'll get to that other reason to why he's so strong when we cover the ultimate form. But as an Asgardian, Ben would probably look like Ben 10,000, if not beefier, in Norse armor and be able to wield mana more naturally so he could cast magic against cousin Gwen. Though not to hers, Charmcasters, Enchantress, or Freya's levels, who are known to be masters of magic. It would be enough to cast some low-level spells, though. But I'm beating around the bush. What would an ultimate Asgardian be able to do? Well, I mentioned Odin earlier, and that was for good reason. See, Marvel Asgardians get stronger with age, and the Ultimatrix forces the DNA through millennia of the worst conditions imaginable to evolve into an apex form. While there have been examples of Asgardians living for millennia, in fact, Odin himself has been alive for over 100,000 years. So ultimate Asgardian Ben would probably look similar to Asgardian Ben with longer white hair, an older appearance, and wings. I believe Ultimate Asgardian Ben would probably be one of the few forms to give a Celestial Sapient a problem, especially if Ultimate Asgardian Ben also gained the Odin Force. I firmly believe that if the right conditions are met, a Celestial Sapient can be beaten by a non-Celestial Sapient. It's why I agree with the outcome of the death battle of Ben versus Hal. Anyway, with the ultimate form, Asgardian Ben could potentially overpower the Mystic Masters mentioned earlier and more than likely overpower Thor, though I doubt he would be worthy of Mjolnir. Now, how would Ben use these forms? Well, since Asgardians are known as warriors, it would make sense that Ben would use these forms to fight strong foes like Vilgax and such. Deriving from the far-off planet of Skrullos in the Drock system of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Skrulls are a race of shapeshifters and the arch-rivals of the Kree Empire. Originally a peaceful race that went around uplifting species, believe it or not, until the day they reached the planet Hala and met with dual races of the planet, the Kotati and the Kree. The aftermath of this encounter changed the Skrulls as the Kree stole their tech and started the Kree-Skrull Wars, the latest of which became a stalemate until the discovery of Earth, for whatever reason. Look, I lived there, not the greatest place. Anyway, they eventually lost their home planet to Galactus thanks to a doof named Reed Richards, which led them to invading Earth a couple times, though all failed due to the combined might of Earth's mightiest heroes. However, most of the time they're almost too late to properly stop them. But what are the abilities of the Skrulls? Unlike mutants and Asgardians, they do have a solid power basis. They basically have shapeshifting and mild telepathy, but the telepathy can only be used by Skrulls and mostly only to communicate with other Skrulls. They would make a great stealth alien, though seeing as Ben has never used Chameleon, or whatever he officially named it as, I doubt he would use this alien for anything outside of combat. Now onto the ultimate form. The Skrulls have experimented on both themselves and the heroes of Earth to create beings known as Super Skrulls, the most famous of which has the power of the Fantastic Four. So that is the ultimate form for this one. The Ultimate Skrull takes DNA samples from 4 other aliens in the Ultimatrix to create a Super Skrull form. Does it make sense? Yeah, kinda. For the art of this version, I have Chameleon, Heat Blast, Humongousaur, and Jetray as the stolen DNA samples to create the Ultimate Skrull. As to how Ben could use this form, well, Ben could use the base Skrull form in stealth missions where he can't risk the smash and run approach he uses with powerhouses like Wrath. As for the Ultimate form, since I ruled the watch takes 4 random pieces of Omnitrix DNA, it would be like the fusion aliens from the Biomatrix, which fuse 2 aliens together in a stronger one. Onto the final verdict. In the case of Ben Tennyson, each of these aliens pose their own individual problems. The mutant form is dependent on how the Omnitrix and Ultimatrix would treat the X gene and Homo superior DNA. Would the Omnitrix keep the power set of the mutant scanned, create a base set based on what Ben could possibly have if he had an X gene, or randomize the power of the X gene each time Ben uses it? And this problem is the same for the Ultimate form as well. The Asgardian is a powerful concept considering the Omnitrix and Ultimatrix makes the form the peak potential for the species, but the magic part makes it a gamble as Ben would have to find a tutor to teach him how to use magic, and I feel he likely wouldn't be able to use it at its max potential out the gate, so it's kind of a wait and see form. The Ultimate form, however, would interest Ben greatly as a break in case of emergency type form, if he couldn't use Alien X or was really desperate, but likely wouldn't use it on a regular basis. Finally, the Skrull is one I see Ben actively hating on, considering if Ben existed in a universe with Skrulls, it likely would have invaded Earth enough times. But also add in the fact that it isn't Ben's style and it doesn't seem the most useful out the gate. He would likely label it a stinker upon first usage. He may take to the Ultimate form upon learning its potential, but that's a crapshoot. As for which one I think Ben would find the most useful, Asgardian, hands down. Easy to learn, easy to master, minus the magic part, and a good all-round fighter, Asgardian. My links are all in the description. I won't go through all of them since there are a few that have changed since the last of What If Aliens, but here are some of the important ones. Patreon, where you can find the old version of this video, Twitter for my ramblings, Blue Sky for those same ramblings, and my throne for the people who want to get me things. Now, I won't go over the same stuff as the last version of this video, but for a quick recap, I had the art ready since September of 2022, and it took me over a year to get this done. I'll try to get my next video out sooner, but as of the end of October, I'm taking a break till New Year's and most likely won't be back till March. I do have one more video idea for the year, but I'll have to wait and see if I can do it. Anyway, because I have to save this or YouTube will seal my lungs, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. Goodbye!